Exodus chapter 34. One day the Lord said to Moses, "Cut 2 flat stones like the first ones I made, and I will write on them the same commandments that were on the 2 you broke. Be ready tomorrow morning to come up Mount Sinai and meet me at the top. No one is to come with you or to be on the mountain at all. Don't even let the sheep and cattle graze at the foot of the mountain." So Moses cut 2 flat stones like the first ones, and early the next morning he carried them to the top of Mount Sinai, just as the Lord had commanded. The Lord God came down in a cloud and stood beside Moses there on the mountain. God spoke his holy name, the Lord. Then he passed in front of Moses and called out, "I am the Lord God. I am merciful and very patient with my people. I show great love, and I can be trusted. I keep my promises to my people forever, but I also punish anyone who sins. When people sin, I punish them and their children, and also their grandchildren and great-grandchildren." Moses quickly bowed down to the ground and worshipped the Lord. He prayed, "Lord, if you really are pleased with me, I pray that you will go with us. It is true that these people are sinful and rebellious, but forgive our sin and let us be your people." The Lord said, "I promise to perform miracles for you that have never been seen anywhere on earth. Neighboring nations will stand in fear and know that I was the one who did these marvelous things. I will force out the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, but you must do what I command you today. Don't make treaties with any of those people. If you do, it will be like falling into a trap. Instead, you must destroy their altars and tear down the sacred poles they use in the worship of the goddess Asherah. I demand your complete loyalty. You must not worship any other god. Don't make treaties with the people there, or you will soon find yourselves worshiping their gods and taking part in their sacrificial meals. Your men will even marry their women and be influenced to worship their gods. Don't make metal images of gods. Don't fail to observe the festival of thin bread in the month of Abib. Obey me and eat bread without yeast for 7 days during Abib, because that is the month you left Egypt. The firstborn males of your families and of your flocks and herds belong to me. You can save the life of a firstborn donkey by sacrificing a lamb. If you don't, you must break the donkey's neck. You must save every firstborn son. Bring an offering every time you come to worship. Work for 6 days and rest on the 7th day, even during the seasons for plowing and harvesting. Celebrate the harvest festival each spring when you start harvesting your wheat, and celebrate the festival of shelters each autumn when you pick your fruit. Your men must come to worship me 3 times a year, because I am the Lord God of Israel. As you advance, I will force the nations out of your land and enlarge your borders. Then no one will try to take your property when you come to worship me these 3 times each year. When you sacrifice an animal on the altar, don't offer bread made with yeast. And don't save any part of the Passover meal for the next day. I am the Lord your God, and you must bring the first part of your harvest to the place of worship. Don't boil a young goat in its mother's milk. The Lord told Moses to put these laws in writing, as part of his agreement with Israel. Moses stayed on the mountain with the Lord for 40 days and nights, without eating or drinking. And he wrote down the 10 Commandments, the most important part of God's agreement with his people. Moses came down from Mount Sinai, carrying the 10 Commandments. His face was shining brightly because the Lord had been speaking to him. But Moses did not know at first that his face was shining. When Aaron and the others looked at Moses, they saw this, and they were afraid to go near him. Moses called out for Aaron and the leaders to come to him, and he spoke with them. Then the rest of the people of Israel gathered around Moses, and he gave them the laws that the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. The face of Moses kept shining, and after he had spoken with the people, he covered his face with a veil. Moses would always remove the veil when he went into the sacred tent to speak with the Lord. And when he came out, he would tell the people everything the Lord had told him to say. They could see that his face was still shining. So after he had spoken with them, he would put the veil back on and leave it on until the next time he went to speak with the Lord. Deuteronomy chapter 10 verses 1 to 5. The Lord told me to chisel out 2 flat stones, just like the ones he had given me earlier. He also commanded me to make a wooden chest, then come up the mountain and meet with him. He told me that he would write on the new stones the same words he had written on the ones I broke, and that I could put these stones in this sacred chest. So I made a chest out of acacia wood, and I chiseled 2 flat stones like the ones I broke. Then I carried the stones up the mountain, where the Lord wrote the 10 commandments on them, just as he had done the first time. The commandments were exactly what he had announced from the fire, when you were gathered at the mountain. After the Lord returned the stones to me, I took them down the mountainside and put them in the chest, just as he had commanded. And they are still there. Deuteronomy chapter 10 verses 10 to 11. When I had taken the second set of stones up the mountain, I spent 40 days and nights there, just as I had done before. Once again, the Lord answered my prayer and did not destroy you. Instead, he told me, Moses, get ready to lead the people into the land that I promised their ancestors. Exodus chapter 35. Moses called together the people of Israel and told them that the Lord had said, you have 6 days in which to do your work. But the 7th day must be dedicated to me, your Lord, as a day of rest. Whoever works on the Sabbath will be put to death. Don't even build a cooking fire at home on the Sabbath. Moses told the people of Israel that the Lord had said, I will welcome an offering from anyone who wants to give something. You may bring gold, silver, or bronze, blue, purple, or red wool, fine linen, goat hair, tanned ram skin or fine leather, acacia wood, olive oil for the lamp, sweet-smelling spices for the oil of dedication and for the incense, or onyx stones or other gems for the sacred vest and breastpiece. If you have any skills, you should use them to help make what I have commanded, the sacred tent with its covering and hooks, its framework and crossbars, and its post and stands, the sacred chest with its carrying poles, its place of mercy, and the curtain in front of it, the table with its carrying poles and all that goes on it, including the sacred bread, the lamp with its equipment and oil, the incense altar with its carrying poles and sweet-smelling incense, the ordination oil, the curtain. For the entrance to the sacred tent, the altar for sacrifices with its bronze grating, its carrying poles, and its equipment, the large bronze bowl with its stand, the curtains with the posts and stands that go around the courtyard and the curtain at the entrance, the pegs and ropes for the tent and the courtyard, and the finely woven priestly clothes for Aaron and his sons. Moses finished speaking, and everyone left. Then those who wanted to bring gifts to the Lord brought them to be used for the sacred tent, the worship services, and the priestly clothes. Men and women came willingly and gave all kinds of gold jewelry such as pins, earrings, rings, and necklaces. Everyone brought their blue, purple, and red wool, their fine linen, and their cloth made of goat hair, as well as their ram skins dyed red and their fine leather. Anyone who had silver or bronze or acacia wood brought it as a gift to the Lord. The women who were good at weaving cloth brought the blue, purple, and red wool and the fine linen they had made. And the women who knew how to make cloth from goat hair were glad to do so. The leaders brought different kinds of jewels to be sewn on the special clothes and the breastpiece for the high priest. They also brought sweet-smelling spices to be mixed with the incense and olive oil that were for the lamps and for ordaining the priests. Moses had told the people what the Lord wanted them to do, and many of them decided to bring their gifts. Moses said to the people of Israel, the Lord has chosen Bezalel of the Judah tribe. Not only has the Lord filled him with his spirit, but he has given him wisdom and made him a skilled craftsman who can create objects of art with gold, silver, bronze, precious stones, and wood. Not only has the Lord filled him with his spirit, but he has given him wisdom and made him a skilled craftsman who can create objects of art with gold, silver, bronze, precious stones, and wood. Not only has the Lord filled him with his spirit, but he has given him wisdom and made him a skilled craftsman who can create objects of art with gold, silver, bronze, precious stones, and wood. The Lord is urging him and Oholiab from the tribe of Dan to teach others. And he has given them all kinds of artistic skills, including the ability to design and embroider with blue, purple, and red wool and to weave fine linen. Exodus chapter 36 verses 1 to 19. The Lord has given to Bezalel, Oholiab, and others the skills needed for building a place of worship, and they will follow the Lord's instructions. Then Moses brought together these workers who were eager to work, and he gave them the gifts that the people of Israel had donated for building the place of worship. In fact, so much was being given each morning, that finally everyone stopped working and said, "Moses, there is already more than we need for what the Lord has assigned us to do." So Moses sent word for the people to stop giving, and they did. But there was already more than enough to do what needed to be done. The skilled workers got together to make the sacred tent and its linen curtains that were woven with blue, purple, and red wool and embroidered with figures of winged creatures. Each of the 10 panels was 12 meters long and 2 meters wide. The skilled workers got together to make the sacred tent and its linen curtains that were woven with blue, purple, and red wool and embroidered with figures of winged creatures. Each of the 10 panels was 12 meters long and 2 meters wide, and they were sewn together to make 2 curtains with 5 panels each. Then 50 loops of blue cloth were put along one of the wider sides of each curtain, and the 2 curtains were fastened together at the loops with 50 gold hooks. Then 50 loops of blue cloth were put along one of the wider sides of each curtain, and the 2 curtains were fastened together at the loops with 50 gold hooks. Then 50 loops of blue cloth were put along one of the wider sides of each curtain, and the 2 curtains were fastened together at the loops with 50 gold hooks. As the material for protecting the tent, goat hair was used to weave 11 sections 13 meters by 2 meters each. As the material for protecting the tent, goat hair was used to weave 11 sections 13 meters by 2 meters each. These 11 sections were joined to make 2 panels, one with 5 and the other with 6 sections. 50 loops were put along one of the wider sides of each panel, and the 2 panels were fastened at the loops with 50 bronze hooks. 2 other coverings were made, one with fine leather and the other with ram skins dyed red.